All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement podcast for students. I am your coach and speaker, Andres Ruiz, and today I have a very special guest. I've had the privilege of kind of meeting him a little bit, through text and messaging, and his name is Tyrri Mccloud, and he is an experienced educator with a demonstrated history of working in the education management industry, skilled in early childhood education, policy analysis, and classroom management. Strong education professional with a Master of Education, focused in educational leadership and administration from Nova Southeastern University. Trained in conducting needs assessments, analyzing risk, and executing strategic plans with tax and critical thinking for critical decision making and goal attainments. So welcome to the show, Tyrri. How you feeling today, man?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's
for
a
sure,
pleasure
man.
to be here.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure to have you, man, for sure. And kind
Beautiful
of like before we
introduction.
yeah, was that?
Beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, for sure. And I'm just grateful to have you on the show, man. But I always like to kind of like just have my guest, kind of like talk a little bit about themselves. And I think it's always good to kind of, say some good things about ourselves. And I always like to kind of put them on the spot to talk a little bit, praise themselves a little bit. So I want to ask you, Tyrri, is what would you say is your superpower? Like, what would you say is the thing that you are the best at?
Uh, for me, I would say honestly, my superpower is just supporting people and just being supportive. I find so much like pleasure and joy, and it helps me feel like I'm contributing to society when I am able to help. So helping and being a great support to someone that just, if it's a whole lot of help, if it's a little nudge to get you over the edge, I really tap into my superpower and make sure that I can offer anything in any way to help someone just accomplish a goal or hit that milestone or just get over a hump. That's exactly like that's where I come from in terms of my superpower. That's me.
I love that. Yeah. And I think that little nudge, we all need that from time to time, like, because we are kind of like looking down and we're like, oh, should I do it? Should I not? And then you just get that person, hey, it's not so bad, like just take a little
Yes.
step forward and you'll be all right.
Especially when someone solicits, you want to make sure that it's welcomed. And yeah, just to be that one little, you have to differentiate. We're teachers, right? You have to differentiate. Some people just need a nudge. Some people need a helping hand. Some people need a carry, and that's what I'm here for.
I love that. Yeah, man. And it's good to be aware of that, and that's part of the interpersonal skills that you've developed over the years of, kind of recognizing what the youth needs or what the co-worker needs. So that's beautiful, man. That's awesome that you kind of, do I need to kind of like be side by side with this person, or do I need to give them that little push? I love that. Good stuff. So tell us, kind of like an overview of the work you do as the director of student support services, and kind of like what you do there.
So as a director for TRIO Student Support Services at Broward College, my job is to manage a federal grant sponsored by the United States Department of Education. Our goals for TRIO is to support first generation low income students in their hopes of attaining their associate's degree here at Broward College. There are other TRIO programs that are SSS based, and they're designed for bachelor students, but for Broward College TRIO SSS, our job is to make sure that they accomplish and attain their associate's degree and transfer to a four-year university to continue until that bachelor's degree. TRIO is very broad. It starts in middle school and it goes all the way through your post-secondary education to getting your master's and that and sort of thing. So our job here is to make sure that our students receive specialized services, and they're not limited to just tutoring. They include tutoring, but they're not limited to tutoring. Career advisement, financial aid, application assistance, financial aid knowledge, just to have workshops to support them in learning about the financial aid process, and specialized scholarships. We also do a host of workshops for career training, and we do college transfer services as well. So this summer we're actually doing a three university tour to Florida A&M, which is where I graduated from with my bachelor's degree, diehard Rattler, And we're going to Florida State University as well as University of Central Florida. And one component that we offer too for TRIO, we always try our best to intertwine cultural experiences. So we'll be visiting the Black Archives and Cultural Center in Tallahassee, along with the Zora Neale Hurston Museum in Eatonville, Florida.
Nice, man. So that's definitely must be an amazing experience for these kids that had they not joined TRIO, maybe these opportunities wouldn't be available to them. Would you agree?
I definitely do agree. It would be very hard for them to access these resources, and especially free of charge. None of our participants pay for anything, and we're funded to serve 140 participants, but they have to be first generation and low income or either of the two. So
that's amazing, man. I mean, shoot, like I don't know, like I wish I would have known of something like this, like wow, having the opportunity to go to colleges and visit and get this mentorship, get these workshops, that's amazing. And definitely my heart is with TRIO. I really love TRIO because I do see what you guys do for them, and working with other TRIOs, I see what what you guys do, you specifically, that you guys go above and beyond for these kids. I mean, and what you're doing is you're pretty much creating these leaders of the future. They're going to be the next doctors, lawyers. I mean, it's a way bigger picture than just going to school.
Very true.
I love that. I love that. And so like for students who would, be interested in having a career in higher ed or just going to college, like what would you say it takes to be successful at what you do or going to college?
So this is going to kind of tie back to what you just asked and what you mentioned. I often say as an educator, we sometimes, they say teachers and educators, we don't get paid well, but we're very wealthy, right? We make investments daily into students, and we can't see our return, right? We can't see what that student has done with that knowledge when they've imparted it into their peer, or what they've done with that knowledge when they've spread it around their family, and then those people go. So it's a residual effect, and we can't calculate it. For a student that is interested in having a career in higher ed or going to college, right? It starts with being strategic, right? Because when I impart this knowledge into you, you're going to share it to your friends. And you want to make sure that if you, first of all, are going to college, you're going to make a sound decision for a career that's going to be sustainable, and it's going to be an in-demand job. But I also don't limit my influence to a career, because there's a lot of entrepreneurship. There's so many businesses that our students can create. Whatever you go to college to get, that degree, make sure that it's something that you can use in practicality. So if you go for a business, you don't necessarily have to work for a Fortune 500 company, but those business strategies and skills that you learn in the classroom, you can bring and put those to practice in your business, your family business, a business of a coworker. I mean, like a coworker, if you all branch off and start a business, or if you know there's someone in the community that has a long-running lawn service or a long-running locksmith, you can say, hey, I would like to be your apprentice, and I've learned these formal skills, and I want to come and help you run your business and take it to the next level. And that's very critical. Also, when I say be strategic, for those of you who want to have a career in higher education, there's no one specific way to get into higher education. I started off in politics in K-12, and I've worked for some very good schools. I've worked for some very good politicians. And my experience was not, I literally didn't even go to college to be a teacher. I went to college to go to law school. Like, that was the goal for me. I wanted to be an attorney. My uncle is one of my greatest mentors, and I wanted to kind of do as he did. And I said that to say, whatever you want to do, pursue your passion, pursue it in a way that it could align up with things that you want to accomplish in businesses that you want to own. If you want to be a doctor, architect, a chemist, whatever the case may be, master your craft, and you can easily find your way into a career in higher education. There are plenty of university presidents that have a PhD in chemistry, but they are literally the leaders of the university, And it starts with how you are in your strategy and in your planning. And that's something that you have to take seriously in the beginning phases, even if you change your mind and go on a different course later on. But you still have to be intentional and strategic.
I love that, man. A lot of golden nuggets right there for sure. And thank you for sharing your experience with, you thought you wanted to be going into law,
Yeah.
and then you weren't thinking that you were going to end up doing this, but then you found your passion, and I love how you said pursue your passion, master your craft. A lot of these, strategizing and planning is so important, because if you like there's a saying that if you plan to fail, like, what is it? If you plan to fail,
If
if you fail to
you
plan.
fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Exactly. So,
Exactly.
I love how you're talking about like having this strategy and planning this stuff out. And also, I also loved how you mentioned that maybe, actually not maybe, this will help you if you decide to start your own business, because I really believe that when you go to college, it's going to help you get these skill sets that will help you with managing your business, managing a team. So this is definitely something that is just an all around great experience for interpersonal skills, business skills, marketing skills. I mean, passion skill. I mean, everything. So,
and if I could tie into what you just said, passion, like, okay, let me give you another story, and I promise I won't be long with this.
Oh, no, go for it.
My grandmother was a teacher for like 35 years. And I had always seen just how much passion she had in her craft. Her classroom was like, I can't even begin to describe. It was like a festival almost. Like there were so many different things and stations, and everything was so animated. And I always loved that. And I went to North Andrews Gardens Elementary down here in Fort Lauderdale. I remember having the best times of my life at that school. So I always had a passion for like wanting to teach. So after I had graduated with political science pre-law, I was like, I'm going to just do this for a year just to kind of get a feel for it, just to say I did it, so I can get that, that sensation. And my grandmother was like, well, it's different these days. They don't pay like they did for us. And you got to be able to support a family. A woman doesn't want a man with no money. And I was like, yeah, I was very, very, very persistent. And I had gotten nervous at one point because, South Florida is very expensive, and it's very it takes a lot to sustain yourself down here. And the teacher salaries in South Florida sometimes are it's just not conducive to sometimes the living here. But I made do, and I enjoyed it. And I was considered highly effective, all of my ratings and rankings. So I mastered the craft. And even after 7 years, that's when I decided to transition out. But I don't regret it whatsoever. It was really, really enlightening, and I wouldn't be where I am today hadn't I stepped into that career path. And like I said before, you can easily transition into any field that you're excited about as long as you're intentional and strategic.
Love that. Thank you for sharing that, man. That's so powerful. And it's so beautiful to hear about your grandmother, that, she kind of instilled that in you some way, somehow, like when you were a little kid, just by watching, just by modeling. And so, she was just the perfect model of kind of like showing you how passionate she was about it. And then look at you, now you're doing the same thing. Like, I mean, you're helping these kids. So thank you for sharing that story. I appreciate it. And, it kind of brings me to my next question, which is perfect. And I'm pretty sure she was one of them. But how did you find help and mentorship for what you do? And like any mentors that you would like to give a shout out to?
Absolutely. Mentorship is huge, especially when you're traveling into unknown territories. Even at the age of, like, I think I was 16. My uncle was the boss list for Omega Psi Phi's Zeta Chi chapter here in Fort Lauderdale. And I was always persistent. If I wanted something, I was just going to try my best to kind of, work it out. And I asked if they had a mentorship program. And at the time, they hadn't developed one as of yet. And him and his frat brothers, he along with Brian Johnson and Anthony Williams, some leaders in the fraternity. At the time, they developed, and Ron Osborne Williams and Anthony Wright, they all worked together to develop a training, it's called the Lamplighters Club of Fort Lauderdale through the Zeta Chi chapter of Omega Psi Phi. And I was one of the first members because I had, kind of begged for it. And, and went to, that program is still running to this day. And annually turning 25 and 30 students into leaders in the community and developing those young men to be just strategic, responsible students, intelligent students, committed to their communities, and committed to themselves and to their faith, and helpful to those around them, to just make sure that they're positive and productive citizens in this country. And I'm like so glad that I was, a part of that. And that's just stemmed into every aspect of my life, and to the point where I became a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated through the Zeta Chi chapter. And I also became the chairman of Lamplighters. And right now we have Herbert Roach, who's the chairman currently, still putting on a phenomenal, mentorship program. And that has literally, it shows how powerful mentorship can be. I honestly can't say that I would be anywhere right now had it not been for those men. And Thomas Walker, who is a huge influence, our 35th Grand Bosselist, Dr. Dorsey Miller, Jr., those men are very pivotal in my success as an educational leader. And of course, my family, my mom, my aunts, my uncles, my dad in his own way, and my grandfather, like those are all the people who, cultivated me and reared me into whatever I am today. So awesome. Mentorship is very important. Community is very important. Community is the foundation to it all.
I love that. And I love how you said community, man, because that reminds me of this group of kids that we've been working together. And, it's like about 15 kids that, we have Zoom calls and all this stuff. But I see the community that they're building amongst each other. When they get into like the breakout rooms, they're like, I just met a new person that I really liked, and we connected. We liked the same stuff. And that's really cool to see that, because you're like, man, had you not taken the chance to like join Trio, you would have not met maybe your best friend for the rest of your life,
Very true.
So you just never know. And now with them, what I love about them is like, hey, this is a, judgment-free zone. Like, we're here to support you. We're not here to criticize you. We're just here to like lift you up and build you up.
Yes.
And, it makes them feel like they belong somewhere, and I think that's what a lot of these kids, they want to belong somewhere.
Yes.
And, Trio, I really believe that's why I love Trio, because they make you feel like you belong in a beautiful community. So thank you for sharing that, man, about the community. And so, like, final question, why is it important to stay hungry and humble at the same time when you're pursuing your goals?
Ooh. Why is it important to stay hungry and humble when pursuing goals? To start with hungry, right? If you have a taste for it, whatever it is, whatever that is, whatever you're hungry for, you're going to crave it. You're going to zero in on it. That's going to be your honed in focus, and you're not going to shake it until you've gotten to it. And you know how much it creates value and purpose for you. So as long as you're hungry, you'll have a sense of self, a sense of your why, a sense of your purpose, and it will create in you a desire to always work towards it, to always get a taste of it, to appreciate it, to hold on to it. And that way you don't have to worry about abusing opportunities and abusing the things that you care for. You don't throw your food on the floor, right? Because you're hungry for it and it's a value. You don't want to see it dirty. You wouldn't eat out of a dirty kitchen, right? Because it's all about its presentation and preserving it and making sure it's something that would nourish you in the long run. So if you're hungry for something, you're going to always make sure that it's handled with care, and it's going to keep you fed, it's going to keep you motivated, and it's going to be the fuel. And you want to make sure whatever you're hungry for is something that's sustainable and nourishing. But all the while, right, you can eat at this table, you can take a sample of this and a sample of that. Overindulgence on occasion, just if you want to be, a little extra full, but at the same time, we're understanding of the opportunities that we have, right? Humbleness comes in at the idea that there aren't many afforded these opportunities. So every now and then, that food that you see so sacred, share it. Help the community around you, help those that are in a different plane that would definitely take a liking to you, or take that would appreciate that morsel of your food to help them in their hunger, even if they don't understand it. Humbling yourself allows you to enlighten others and help others see what's an opportunity for them, what could happen, and what could be. It just helps other people see the good in you sincerely, and the opportunities that they can have for themselves. I'm trying to just formulate it all, bring it together.
No, it's good.
But you have to, because it could all go away, So even if you're hungry, whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you're not too prideful, and that you're still concerned and able to show you that you're compassionate to your brethren.
I love that.
Or sister.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing all these insights, man. I mean, definitely you dropped a lot of golden nuggets that I guarantee you a lot of people will learn from. And just by listening to this, guys, if you really pay attention to what Tyrri is telling you, I mean, this man has a lot of knowledge, and this wisdom that he has just provided to you can definitely help you be a success in not just your professional life, but in your personal life. So, I just want to say thank you, Tyrri, again, for being on the show. I really appreciate you, man. And I want to say also thank you to the viewers. Yeah, thank you to the viewers for watching, and stay tuned for the next show of the Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement podcast for students. Have a great day. Peace.
All right.